Wow. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel CCUK Resin, and this is going to be an exciting 3D bloom video, hopefully with a bit of a difference because I'm going to be using some different alcohol inks. I'm going to be using the high gloss finish resin as well from apexresin, because a lot of people have been saying to me recently, why don't you do it with a standard resin, why do you always use fast cure? And this is to show that you can use standard resin and get some beautiful blooms. It's just a slightly different effect and you have to wait a little bit longer. So I'm going to mix up some resin. I want to get a matching set of 4 for this. So I'm going to mix up roughly 10 ounces of resin, put it in my debubbler, and then we're going to get on with these blooms. So the whole point of this though is to try out these Octopus inks, see how they work on blooms, and also to show you that if you don't have fast cure resin, you can still get some beautiful blooms. So that's the hardener, this is the resin, it's just a standard 1-to-1 resin. And don't forget, if you want any of this resin, get over to apexresin.co.uk, use my discount code CCUK and get yourself some money off. So I'm going to speed this up, we're going to mix up the resin, put it in the debubbler, and then we'll be back. And we're back, and I'm just going to check the temperature. Want it to be around about 36, and wouldn't you believe it, bang on 36. So that is the first stage. Waiting for that resin to get to 36 degrees. Took about 25 minutes with this from the minute it came out of the debubbler. Beautiful crystal clear resin. So I'm just going to pour some into the 4 coasters that I want. And I'm going to eyeball it. I want these to be reasonably even because, as I say, I want it to be a matching set of 4 when we've done, so that if I choose to sell them, I could sell them as a set. And it's quite difficult to get 4 very similar looking blooms, but that's what we're going to try this time. So I'm going to pour some excess resin as well into this pot, so I've got enough for my white mixture as well, for my bloom paste. And then the rest of this resin can just get spread evenly around these 4 coasters. And whilst you're here, guys, do me a favour. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Costs you nothing, but it helps us grow. And a massive thank you to all of those amazing members that are members of the channel as well. You don't know how much it means. Thank you all. So here we go. This is all of that resin pretty evenly mixed now. And that's the first step, dead straightforward. And if you're looking for a full tutorial on blooms, go back through the channel content. I've done, must be dozens now of bloom tutorials. And all I'll say is keep going. Once you get the right temperatures for your resin, you end up getting perfect blooms. And hopefully that's what we're going to end up with this time. And don't forget, this is a standard resin. It is not a fast cure. This is a standard 1-to-1 high gloss resin. So that's that bit done now. We've got the resin evenly placed. Now, if you wanted to add a center, now's the time to do it. I'm not going to, but what I am going to do is just go round the edges because that's where the bubbles like to hide out. And it just means that on the edges of your coasters, you're not going to get those little annoying bubbles that you sometimes get. So just loosen them up around the edge by going around it with a dotting tool, and then you should be able to get them with your torch. And again, if you've got any ideas that you wanted to see us do in resin, I'm always open to ideas. Put it in comments and we'll try and make it happen. So there's that bit done. Next, I'm going to mix up my white. And for this particular white, I'm going to use some Laurasartcorner Angel White. And all I do with this is just stir it round with my cocktail stick, and literally the tiniest amount. So I'm stirring it around, and whatever's left on my stick, I'm going to try and scrape most of it off. And that way it seems to work for me. And I know it's not very scientific, but this is the way that I tend to do it. Whatever's left on that stick should be enough to just colour this resin. And what we're looking for is a skimmed milk consistency, really. So not quite opaque, but not transparent, and that gives you your best blooms. So I can still see through that stick, so I know that this is pretty much there now. And in fact, anything that's left on the stick now, I don't really want it to go much more opaque, so I'm happy with that as a colour, and I think that will be about right for the blooms. So I'm just going to wipe my stick. Always wipe your stick, and then it's ready for next time. And then I'm going to pour it into the piping bag so it's ready to go. And if you're struggling with your blooms, guys, a lot of people really struggle when they're pouring it in from the pot, and I tend to find that since I've started piping, I basically have a lot more success. So again, if you are struggling with blobs or things like that, which we hate, then just put it in a piping bag and try it that way. So I'm pretty happy with this white now. And as you saw there, I wiped off the excess pigment off the cocktail stick halfway through because I was happy with the colour. So into the piping bag it goes, and then that is ready to go pretty much for when we want to use it for these blooms. And all you do with your bag is just squeeze your resin down and then give it a bit of a twist, and then it will be ready to go. Dead straightforward. Try not to squeeze it out the back of the bag. Give it a twist, and that will be ready to go once we snip that end off. And it does feel a little bit warm, so hopefully that means we've got the temperature right. So now I'm just checking for any other little bubbles, and that was a bit of dried resin. I don't know where that came from, because I promise you I did clean these molds before I started, but make sure there's any bits of debris or anything like that, take it out of the resin before you progress. And then just give it a quick torch with your blowtorch, and then that should get rid of any of those surface bubbles. Next, we're going to go on to the fun bit for me, which is the inks. Oh, spotted another one. So again, just try and make sure there's no visible bubbles before you drop your inks, although technically the alcohol inks will help disperse any bubbles anyway. So I've got these different octopus inks because Laura sent them me from Laurasartcorner. Thank you for that. And I'm going to be mainly using those, but before I do that, I just want to put a couple of drops of yellow in the centre, and I don't have a yellow octopus ink, so I'm going to use the letsresin yellow. Not too much, just 2 drops in the centre of each, hopefully keeping them reasonably central. Which looks a lot easier than it actually is, trust me. But it doesn't matter if this is perfect or not, it should still work. And I'm just hoping to get a tiny bit of yellow in the centre of these blooms. And it's just, for me, it's a look that I like. You don't have to do it. I've seen most people don't do this, but I just like that little hint of yellow in the centre. So there's those. Next, we're going to go on to the octopus inks. I think for the first colour I'm going to use is this red. And I'm going to try and do 4 drops equally in each coaster. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to try and position these dots in exactly the same place in the other coasters so that we can hopefully create that matching set. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I don't even know if these blooms are going to work. I hope they do. And I'm noticing with these octopus inks, they do spread quite well. They spread differently to the letsresin inks, but they do spread really well if you just give them a few seconds. So next I'm going to go in with this one, which I believe is the peacock. So I've got peacock, smurf, and I've got swimming pool in these octopus inks. And they're all sort of different shades of blues to turquoisey green, I would say, the swimming pool. And again, I want to position these in the same places in each coaster. And this is the bit I absolutely love with resin. It's just watching these alcohol inks spread intermix and create their own cool designs. So that was a Smurf. This is the swimming pool, which is a slightly greener colour. And then I'm going to try and get the peacock in as well before they all join. So there's that peacock as well, which is a slightly darker bluish colour. And there we go. I think I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to try and repeat the process for the other 3 coasters. And if you haven't guessed, you've got voiceover Andy in this video, so it's slightly different. I hope it's not too bad, and I hope you're still liking it as I'm taking you through it. But unfortunately, I did this video the day after a live, and that meant that I left my live transmitter plugged in at the same time as my phone transmitter, which meant I got no sound. So it never goes right when you're recording, but there we go. The joys of being a YouTube creator. But as I say, I hope you're really enjoying the content, and I hope you're learning something, because that's the whole point. This is about us all learning together and hopefully growing together. And if you haven't heard, my website is pretty much live. You won't find much stock in there at the moment, but I am going to be stocking it over the next few weeks with more items that you can purchase. Recently, I've got them in a store local to me as well, some of my pieces. So I'm hoping to get them live on the website over the next few weeks and months. So if you want to check it out, feel free. I'm always open to any positive or negative criticism. It is CCUK resin.com. So pretty straightforward. And as I say, over the next few weeks, you're going to find a lot more stock on there. If you like any of my pieces, hopefully you can purchase them online. We can get them shipped out to you and you can enjoy them. But there we go. These are those inks. Pretty happy with the way these are looking now. And I actually really like the way that that red is just sort of staying in those 4 areas. Now, you've got a choice to make here. Do you mix them round or do you leave them as they are? And I think I'm just going to put a drop more of yellow in the center. And then I think I'm going to leave these. I don't think I want to swirl them around. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And with these, I love the way it's sort of naturally looking. And I think if I swirled it round, I would move that red, and I quite like it at the minute. So yeah, pretty happy with those. I think they're starting to look like flowers already before I've even put those petals in. But I don't think I want to do anything else. I'm just leaving the alcohol inks to settle for a second. And then I'm going to go straight in and draw those petals in with the white paste that we've just made. Now, again, for this, I'm going to use the standard spiral technique because it is one of my favorite techniques in 3D blooms, and it's quite rare that it fails. So if you see the nib on here, there's normally a little air pocket, and I try and snip about halfway between the end of the tip and the end of the ear pocket where the resin is. And normally that gives you about a 2mm hole, so it doesn't come out too quickly and it doesn't come out too slowly, and you shouldn't have to squeeze it when you're piping. It should naturally drip out. So just snipping the end off helps if you've got some sharp scissors, and I'm going to invest in some new ones because these ones just aren't very sharp anymore. But it's dripping out nicely, as you can see. A thin stream is coming out, so let's just go for it. Let's get these spirals in, then we can draw those petals in, and then hopefully we're going to have some beautiful blooms. So just start off in the center, and I'm going to try and keep these rings quite close together because I want it to have quite a few petals in these particular blooms. There's no right or wrong. Just try not to go heavy. Try not to go over the same spot twice, because if you do, there's a risk of blobs. And try and get an even stream all the way around, all the way up to that edge, as we're doing here. And I think that is it. So you want to get it as close to the edge as possible, hopefully without touching the edge. There we go. So I'm happy with that one. Now, for the next 3, I'm going to speed it up as well. so you don't have to watch a 2-hour video. Now at this point I had quite a lot of white left, so I thought Halloween's on its way. Let's use some of these skull molds and see if I can utilize it in these. And I still had the Octopus Alcohol Inks, so I just thought I'll put a couple of drops of the red cherry alcohol ink in there as well before I put that white in, to see what kind of effect that has. And it's a great way to use up your white. Those of you that do blooms know that you're always going to have spare white, because you never get it exactly right how much you need. So I'm just going to squeeze this in, and then we can demold these at the same time as those blooms. And now it's time to draw in those petals. So I'm just going to give these skulls a little swirl so that the white and the red alcohol ink hopefully intermixes. And then we're going to see what these look like when it comes to curing. So it's going to be interesting. And now drawing in the petals, I'm going to do the standard clock design. So starting at 12 o'clock, pulling it in to the center. And the key is here, you don't want to be scratching your molds, you're just tickling that surface. So there you go. That's the first 4 made. And then I just halve those petals again, which should give us 8 beautiful petals. Dead straightforward. Pull it into that center. And then it's whether I give these a tiny swirl or not as well. I know some of you don't like the swirls. I do like them in most blooms. And just a tiny little swirl in that center, I think, helps them look a little bit more natural. So I'm just going to pull the, draw in the other designs as well. And always have a cloth next to you or some kitchen towel just to wipe off the end of your stick, so you're not intermixing those colors unless that's the effect you want. And it is dead straightforward. The more you do blooms, the more you get used to doing it. And yeah, it's dead straightforward. And you can do this again if you want. You can have 16 petals. You can only have 4 petals. It's up to you. It's your bloom. Do it your way. So here we go, guys, and it is the next day, and it's time to demold these, and I'm excited, to be honest. I've just finished work, been a long day, and I always like to have a demold to look forward to when I get back. So let's do these skulls first. They're a bit of a pain to demold, but they should just pop out. Oh wow, look at that. That has come out really cool. Just with that white and red, and that was just the alcohol ink with that white. But I love that. I think that's a great little keyring. So there's one. Hopefully this one will be similar. Oh, that one popped out a little easy. Look at that. So cool. So 2 little skulls. And this should give us an idea, hopefully, of what the backing's going to look like on the blooms. And I did slightly squish that, but it's coming back. Ah. Not as detailed though as these, to be honest. Still like it though. Pretty cool. And then the last one. Again, try not squishing. So there we go. That's not quite been 24 hours. I think if I do more of these, I'm going to make sure it's been the full 24 hours. Pretty cool though. So we got those, but I'll be honest, I prefer these. These are amazing. And now we're going to demold these coasters and hope that they've turned out. And you never know until you get to demold whether they've worked or not. So let's have a look. Oh wow, look at that. I would say it's worked pretty well. Look at it. Absolutely beautiful. So that is one. Oh, wow. Do you know what? I think they are pretty perfect. Don't know. Let me know what you think, but I'm loving these. Just look at that. Stunning. And I'm glad I backed them because I actually think it adds. I think these are absolutely stunning. Beautiful pieces. So there you go. You can get your 3D blooms using standard 1-to-1 resin. Let me know what you think to them. As always, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video.